Good morning. And yes, I extend everything Pastor said about VBS. She said it better than I did. Good. So, today's message is entitled Planting Seeds for the Next Harvest. In the church, we're always looking at ways to increase attendance, get more families, build groups to keep the church going. And it's an ever constant goal that exists in my mind until two things possibly happen. We reach it, which I don't think we ever reach it. We extend the goal further, or the doors close. Churches are in constant talk about what it means to reach this never-ending goal. Do we create our worship services in new ways? Do we create events targeted for younger families? What do we offer at the church, in the church, versus what do we offer in the community? And these focuses cycle in the discussions about what it means to help the church grow. But what does it mean, though, to pull these questions into action? Part of it requires the thinking and the necessary planning to create these events and environments that are welcoming and inclusive to families of all types. But another part of it requires faith. Faith is that persuasion that comes from God that asks us to do or to trust in something. We can do a lot of different things ourselves, but do we have the faith in God that these things are what's needed? And that is opening the door to a bigger conversation. As you've seen, there's been many things going on at the church this summer. Thanks in part to COE's wonderful planning. Everything from family game nights to movie nights to our upcoming VBS and more. And I personally believe that these game nights that we've been doing are a great example of something that was done in faith and that God has used for good. The first few game nights, we were getting about anywhere from 1 to 4 people on average, outside of the willing volunteers who come up. And as we learned from the opening night, and Corey was here, she'd justify it with me, it takes a lot of work to do preparations, especially those preparations that we don't think of until the moment that it needs to happen. And with it turning out to be more work than we thought, and with what we would consider a low turnout, the question cycled in my mind, is it worth it? Is it worth putting forth all this effort for such a small crowd who still had a great time? Don't get me wrong, not a bad word has been said about this event, to me at least. And in this process, I had to remember why. Why did we do those game nights? And it cycled back to the focus of to create a safe and fun environment for families to come and relax after a long day. Mission accomplished then. It wasn't time to give up. It was time to lean on God and have these faith that these events are doing its job regardless of how many people show up. And since then, I'm happy to announce that the game nights have had 7 to 10 kids. Probably double that if you include parents and willing church members who have come out. And it's been tiring, to say the least. Corey and Pastor can admit I'm a zombie come Wednesday morning. But it's been so worth it to hear the laughter and the joy and the memories that are made. And it's hard to say this at the same time, because since we wrote this, through conversations with Sue and Pastor and some members with COE, we are here to say that the last game night was this past Tuesday. And that's hard to say at the same time because we've made so much progress over the last 2 weeks with our moves in faith and just the consistency to come out. We were taking this week off of VBS anyways, but since then, we're doing a back-to-school night, or we're joining the back-to-school night with the Ministerial Association, and we're not canceling, but we're aligning. Is that the word we used? We're aligning the last game night to join with the Cooperative Parish Fun Day. So it turned that question to me of, what's next? And what does this mean? And it's easy for me to sit and focus on the fact that, well, the game nights as I knew them are finished. And mission accomplished, we did what we set out to do, but it also opened the door to see what's next and to grow on that and to hold on to that. And do I know what's going to happen with our roles at the back to school event? No. Do I know what's going to happen at the Cooperative Parish Fund Day? No. But there's faith that God's still going to move. And it's going to be big movements, small movements, but that breeze will be there. And we may not feel it in the moment. We may not feel it until the next week. But at the same time, those movements are planting those seeds. Sometimes when we need to plant those seeds for something, we need to remember that it takes time to grow. It takes nourishment, energy, and time for the seed to sprout to its final product. And as I mentioned, we were joking that we finally figured out the best way to prep for these game nights, and now it's done. And learning how to plant these seeds today makes it easier to plant these seeds for the next harvest, which makes it easier to plant these seeds for the next harvest after that. We might not be able to see how it grows or what the payoff is going to look like, but we had faith through the process that it will grow into what it needs to be. Amen.